Martial arts, panel, Changsheng, Xiuxian, Xiaobai. Lin Xinghe's system only has one function left. Observation. Observe the witch and learn internal skills. Observe the sword and see the treasure map. Observe the wooden statue and discover the unparalleled divine skill. Observing the crown prince, I found that he is a woman. Observe yourself and discover an invincible new skill. More than 200 years later, the spiritual energy revived, the ancient immortals and demons returned, and the gods and Buddhas descended to play chess with sentient beings. When playing chess for pleasure, they saw that the human world had already changed. Lin Xinghe waved his sleeve, causing the immortals, demons, gods, and Buddhas to tremble. Searching for 800 secret realms, gaining 3,000 opportunities, cultivating a timeless customer for billions of years, and experiencing countless vicissitudes of life. Chapter 1. The Joy of White Roaring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Deiyue Kingdom. Jiangnan, Wudong Town. Module missing, system rebooting. Still restarting. Looking at this string of text that was only visible to him, the young man let out a sigh that did not match his appearance and age. His name is Lin Xinghe, and his psychological age does not match his appearance. Because he is a traveler. There is a golden finger, but it keeps restarting. He waited for 16 years. 16 years. He has grown from a little boy to a handsome young man. According to the customs of this world, he can get married and have children, but the system is still restarting. I can only watch but not go up. This feeling is even more uncomfortable than telling him directly that there are no golden fingers. A kind old man dressed as a butler walked over and asked, selling firewood, how much does your cart of firewood cost? 51. Lin Xinghe was a woodcutter in this life, relying on chopping wood to make a living. He would transport a cart of firewood to the market every day, and the people who bought firewood were either shopkeepers or wealthy people. The butler in front of me belongs to the latter. The butler frowned and said, why is your firewood 21 more expensive than others? Lin Xinghe explained with a smile, Grandpa, I don't know. My firewood is burning well, so naturally it's a bit expensive. The butler pondered and said, take me to my side door. Okay. Lin Xinghe pushed the cart to deliver the firewood to the destination. The butler asked the two gatekeepers to bring in the firewood and then reached out to give 31. Lin Xinghe felt a thump in his heart and tentatively said, Grandpa, there are still 21 missing. The butler saw that the firewood had arrived, and the kind expression on his face disappeared. He put away 31, raised his chin, and said indifferently, you little bastard, you still want to deceive me. That firewood is worth 51. Lin Xinghe knew that this person was going to cheat him, and a hint of anger flashed in his eyes. He defended himself by saying, I didn't deceive anyone. My firewood is burning brightly, and there is still less smoke. It's reasonable to sell 50 pieces of literature and science. The housekeeper glared and sneered, well, don't you dare to be blunt. I tell you, my master is the new town order of Wudong Town. Town magistrate. Lin Xinghe's complexion changed, and a few days ago, a new mayor did indeed take office. No wonder the butler looked unfamiliar, it turned out to be the person brought by the new town magistrate. Although he was angry in his heart, he was weak and weak. If the situation escalated and he was wrongly accused like Di Yun, he would be weak. After much thought, Lin Xinghe could only consider himself unlucky and said, then let's have 31. The butler saw him soften and stared at him with a mournful smile, saying, I don't know how many people you've deceived with this price. It's already generous of me not to tell you. You still want money. Lin Xinghe was furious in his heart, but he knew that staying any longer would not only cost him no money, but also bring shame to himself. He could only swallow his anger and pull the car away quickly. The butler is mighty. The two servants laughed heartily. The butler smiled proudly and gave two servants 2 1 each, instructing them, remember, those 51 firewood. I understand, I understand. The two servants smiled brightly, and although they didn't earn much money, it was in vain, with an indescribable joy. Today is really unlucky. Lin Xinghe returned to the wooden house outside the town with a cart and a stomach full of grievances, which was where he lived. Star River. An old man walked out of the wooden house, with a shiny head and only some white hair remaining on his temples. This is Lao Li. Although he is a bit crazy and out of tune, he has raised Lin Xinghe for 16 years. At this moment, old Li stretched out a hand that had been sunburned, and the palm of his hand was actually a piece of snowflake silver. After weighing it, it was 10 taels of silver. Where did you get so much money? Lin Xinghe exclaimed in surprise. The annual expenses of an ordinary family of 3 are only like this, even less than that. Old Li Lianxin didn't have many new clothes, but now he suddenly threw out 10 taels of silver. It's like the sun coming out from the west. Lao Li smiled and said, "Private money, can you help me deliver it to Baihua Tower?" The 100 Flowers Tower. Lin Xinghe's pupils shrank. Baihualu is a brothel. Although it is not a high-end brothel, it is also the only gold-selling cave in Wudong Town. Old Li grinned with a flushed face, revealing 3 or 5 scattered teeth, and said, "Hee, I went there a few days ago and owe some money." "You?" Lin Xinghe said indignantly, "How could you go to that place?" Old Li pouted and said, "My deadline is approaching, can't I still enjoy it?" "You are so lively that you can even go to the 100 Flowers Tower, it doesn't seem like the deadline is approaching at all." Lin Xinghe sneered inwardly and said, "What I mean is, why don't you take me with you? I also want to have close contact with Mississippi." Old Li's corner of his eye twitched. "Where can there be a family there?" Dao said, "Didn't I let you go now? Alright, stop talking and go to Baihua Tower to repay the money for me." Lin Xinghe was speechless and choked. In order to avoid Baihua Lu seeking debt, he had to take 10 taels of silver to Baihua Lu and settle accounts with the madam. This madam is wearing a purple dress, which shows that she was a beauty when she was young, but now even if she dresses up beautifully, she cannot resist the aging and aging. The madam accepted the money and said with a smile, "Master Lin, we have a dancer from the capital who is both talented in color and art. Tonight, she is going to perform a dance on the stage. Come and take a look, too." "I don't have any money." Although Lin Xinghe also likes to see the little sister, the expenses of Baihua building are too high, and he can't afford 10 taels of private money. The madam thought to herself that if she could give 10 taels, her family would definitely have money. The key is to attract her to come often in the future. She smiled and said, "It's okay, it's okay. This time my sister is treating me, I don't want your money." "Is it free?" Free means free prostitution. White prostitution is happiness. In addition to the grievances he suffered today, Lin Xinghe also wants to see something beautiful to ease his mood. So he agreed. The madam smiled and said, "If you have fun, young master, come often in the future." Lin Xinghe said, "It must be certain." In the evening, the guests on the table around the stage were either Mr. Wang or Mr. Zhang. They were all famous gentry and rich people in Wudong Town. Everyone was bright and beautiful. Lin Xinghe was dressed in whitewashed cloth, which seemed out of place and attracted a lot of criticism. Lin Xinghe didn't mind and found an empty seat nearby to sit down. "Please, Princess Feishue, perform a dance for all the gentlemen." With the call of the madam, the noise around suddenly came to an end. The dancer named Fei Shui descended from the sky like a fairy. Because the distance was too far, Lin Xinghe couldn't see the details of the other person's appearance clearly, only feeling that she was indeed a beautiful woman. She has a graceful figure, wearing a long skirt and water sleeves. Her fair and tender skin is faintly visible, making people imagine. She wears a gold ring on her left ankle, and the bell on it makes a crisp sound as she moves. There are quite a variety of styles. Lin Xinghe thought to himself. Play music. Dance. Looking at this scene, Lin Xinghe couldn't help but think of the days when he used to browse the dance area in his past life. He sighed inwardly, I used to cherish watching the dance area for free, but now I don't know how much money it would cost to watch it once. If it weren't for this being free, he wouldn't have had the money to come and see it. Bang 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 bang. Lin Xinghe's eyes widened and his heartbeat became louder. However, he didn't realize it and still stared at the stage, with only that beautiful figure in his eyes and heart. Not only him, but also the guests around him have fallen into this state of addiction, which is unusual. It's just that those who are inside are unaware of their own abnormalities. Ding, system restart completed. Lin Xinghe's mind shook and he immediately recovered from his addiction. What kind of thing? System. System. After waiting for 16 years, you can be considered to have come. Lin Xinghe thought to himself, why are you only awakening now? Maybe there is an anti-addiction function in the system, right? Chapter 2. Demon Maiden helps me cultivate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Anyway, the system has awakened. Lin Xinghe no longer paid attention to the scenery on stage and asked in his heart, System, do you have intelligence? The system did not respond. Lin Xinghe thought to himself that this was a system without intelligence, which made him somewhat disappointed. However, he quickly cleared up his mind and continued to ask, System, what functions do you have? Missing system function module. Missing. Missing. After a pile of missing items, a panel finally popped out. Name. Lin Xinghe, skill. Observation. Is that all? Just one feature. Lin Xinghe's eyes twitched. After waiting for 16 years, he thought it was some kind of supreme invincible system, but the result was just a functional panel. Forget it, a little is better than nothing. Lin Xinghe calmed his emotions and carefully reviewed the function introduction. Observation. Observing objects within a range of 100 meters in the direction of the line of sight, with additional effects such as perspective, magnification, night vision, and air observation. Perspective. Perspective eyes. Lin Xinghe raised his eyebrows and looked towards the beautiful figure on the stage. After calming down, he recited in his heart, observe. Schwa. In an instant, everything in front of me, whether it was tables, chairs, benches, or silk, gradually became transparent. The key was that the dancer's clothes became transparent one by one from the outside to the inside. While the only downside is that the distance is a bit too far to see clearly. If it could be closer. With this thought, the body of the dancer, who was more than 10 meters away, was instantly as close as a stone's throw, as if dancing alone for him. The dancer had willow leaf eyebrows and peach blossom eyes, a plump sky, a fair and tender face, and a myriad of seductive expressions as she moved and turned around. He can see every hair clearly. It can be said that her face is like peach blossoms, her skin is like condensed fat. Looking down, she has a round and smooth fruit in front of her, a slender waist that is plump when held, and her jade legs are white and long, without losing a sense of strength. It's a pity that she doesn't wear stockings on these legs. Unfortunately, there are no stockings in this world. It's really big. Cough, this is not only a perspective, but also a magnification. Lin Xinghe's mouth was wildly raised, his eyebrows beaming with joy. Although my system is a bit rudimentary, the operational space is also not small. As long as it is used reasonably, it is not difficult to reach the pinnacle of life. For example, finding a wealthy family and saying, Madam, you don't want to expose it in secret, do you, can save you 30 years of hard work. Jia. As Lin Xinghe was happily imagining the future, the dancer's skin gradually faded, and details such as muscles and bones were presented one after another. There are thin long worms wriggling between the muscles and bones in the picture. Ah! What kind of thing? If the previous scene made people's blood boil, then now it is chilling, frightening Lin Xinghe to the point where his heart suddenly quickened and he broke out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, he was also a person who read countless movies in his past life. Although he was not fearless of everything, his acceptance level was also very high. I was careless just now and didn't take precautions. Now that I've adapted, I'm not afraid anymore. He fixed his gaze and saw that the long worms wriggling between his muscles and bones were not real insects, but rather something resembling gas, emitting a shimmering light in his field of vision. Is this true Qi? This world is not an ordinary ancient world, but a world with martial arts, great heroes, and even legends of the existence of supernatural things such as immortals and exotic beasts. This is a fantasy world. Maybe someone really knows how to cultivate immortals. Unfortunately, those were all a bit far away from him. After traveling for 16 years, he had only heard of them and had not seen them with his own eyes. Until now the door of the new world is opening to him. The dancer named Fei Shui on stage is not from the capital city. Her true identity is a witch. The martial arts she cultivates are called Heavenly Demon Dance. This martial art is not only a lightness skill and body technique, but also a beautiful dance. With one dance, the city is enchanted, and the seductive demeanor is abundant. It can make the viewer's blood and energy surge, and their mind and spirit are stirred, leading to the outflow of essence. Then use the internal skill of dancing with the heavenly demon called Heavenly Demon Introduction, to absorb these essence and transform them into one's own true energy. The whole process feels like cutting leeks. People who have lost some of their energy will be lethargic for a few days, and as they recover, they will increasingly want to watch the heavenly demon dance. After recovery, I will come back and be cut off with another wave of leeks. Let's all become the cauldron of my grandmother's cultivation. Fei Shui performed the heavenly demon dance while feeling proud in her heart. At that moment, she saw a special person. Others looked at her with an extremely fanatical gaze, motionless, as if looking at their dream lover without blinking, completely indifferent to whether their eyes were dry or not. There was only one person, their eyes turning as if observing. Fei Shui was slightly surprised. Her heavenly demon dance has been practiced to perfection. Not only ordinary people who do not know martial arts, but even ordinary people in the martial arts world will be attracted to her. How could this young man not be moved? It's not easy to resist the temptation of my heavenly demon dance at a young age. With such a determined heart, maybe I can make it to the hidden dragon chart in the future. Fei Shui felt a sigh in her heart, but her movements did not stop at all. The dance continued, and the allure of sinking did not diminish, but instead increased, leaving the guests below stunned. After opening the observation perspective, Lin Xinghe saw a picture that was too transparent and bony. It is literally transparent and bone-like. No matter how sexy a skeleton is, it cannot make him feel it. His XP range is not yet large enough, without skin bags to attract him. The other enchanting effects are greatly reduced, so he naturally becomes immune to the heavenly demon dance. And compared to these, he cares more about the true Qi. Traveling from an ordinary world without martial arts to a world with martial arts, his desire for martial arts far exceeds that of ordinary people. He doesn't want to be invincible in the world, at least let him try the feeling of opening a monument and breaking a stone. Lin Xinghe saw mist-like things emerging from each guest, as if they were being grabbed by invisible hands, drifting towards the stage. Eventually, they were absorbed by the dancer and integrated into the flowing true Qi in her meridians. Is it the method of absorbing stars? Lin Xinghe muttered to himself and looked down at his arm. Under the observation perspective, he could clearly see the muscles and bones on his body, as well as the restless true energy. No, this thing is not true Qi. In terms of brightness, it is much dimmer than the true energy inside the dancer's body, it's like a cloud of mud. And since he has never practiced martial arts, it is impossible for him to have true Qi. This thing should be the manifestation of energy, physical strength, etc., let's call it essence qi. This essence should undergo internal skill transformation before it can become true qi. These essence are becoming increasingly calm. At the beginning, Lin Xinghe was influenced by the heavenly demon dance, causing his internal essence to loosen. As he was about to leave the body, a system appeared that brought him back to his senses and stabilized his internal essence. Is it really good to stabilize like this? Lin Xinghe looked at the calmer essence in his body and suddenly felt a little uneasy. He looked at a little bit of essence at his fingertips and silently thought to himself. Move, move, move. As his mind developed, the essence of his fingertips gradually entered the channels in his fingers, which should be the meridians, flowing through them. Although the speed was not fast at first, gradually there was a feeling of suddenly understanding. After grasping this feeling, the essence in his body flows completely with his thoughts. Is this the legendary sense of qi? So it's so simple. Lin Xinghe smiled in his heart. Practicing is refining qi, and the prerequisite is to seek the sense of qi. Without the sense of qi, one cannot have luck, and without luck, one cannot practice. There are generally two ways to find the sense of qi. One is to rely solely on one's own understanding. Even those with exceptional talent and proper dharma skills need 10.5 days. Another way is for a teacher to inject a true qi, which can be found on the same day. Lin Xinghe is actually the third method, relying on the seduction of the witch to generate and master the sense of qi. It can be said that it is unprecedented. However, even if one masters the sense of qi and the essence flows through their body with their thoughts, it is still the essence, not the true qi. The difference between the two is like water and ice. If you want to practice true qi, you need to use internal skills. Where can you learn internal skills? Although Lin Xinghe has not been exposed to martial arts, it is said that the author has mentioned some stories about the martial arts world. Internal skill is the foundation of a martial arts skill. Adding internal skill to ordinary moves can turn decay into magic. Therefore, internal skill is also a secret in the martial arts world. Ordinary people who want to learn internal skills through normal means must first join a gang, play for a year and a half, or make certain contributions in order to be able to access the internal skills within the gang. Moreover, it is highly likely that they will only receive a small portion, and continue to work hard to obtain the remaining part. Do you want to join a gang? Joining a gang can indeed learn martial arts, but at the same time, one must also work hard for the gang. Lin Xinghe didn't want to do those things, pondered for a moment, and looked up at the dancer on stage. Can I imitate her internal skills? Observing the flow of true qi in the dancer's body, Lin Xinghe followed the example and made his own essence move in the same way in the meridians of his body. A vital energy passes through the meridians of the whole body, dividing and merging, and finally flows into an acupoint at the heart. On stage, after finishing the dance, Fei Shui retired and left. Off stage, Lin Xinghe also meticulously imitated the dancer's internal skills. The essence in his body has become much richer, and the brightness seen from the observation perspective has increased slightly. This can no longer be called essence, but should be true qi. Name: Lin Xinghe. Skills: observation, unknown internal skill, renamed true qi. 1. The panel has changed, and I have indeed become a true qi practitioner. Observing the perspective allows me to see the path of martial arts movement and learn internal skills. Isn't that something that can be easily mastered in the world of martial arts? Lin Xinghe smiled happily and looked forward to the future. Seeing the song come to an end and the people disperse, he also stood up and planned to leave. But suddenly I felt dizzy and disoriented, and the perspective of observing everything disappeared, leaving my mind dazed. Surprisingly, there is consumption. Is it still spiritual consumption? Lin Xinghe rubbed his temples and left the 100 Flowers Tower in a swaying manner. Other guests were still intoxicated in the heavenly demon dance, swaying, and some were still giggling happily, so no one cared about Lin Xinghe's state. Returning to the residence, it was a wooden house located on the edge of the town. Lao Li asked, "Why did you come back so late?" Lin Xinghe explained, "A Beijing dancer has arrived at Baihua Tower." At this point, he paused. Is it really that simple for a dancer with true energy to come from the capital? Upon hearing this, Old Li was surprised and saw that Lin Xinghe was lost in thought. He thought he was reminiscing and angrily said, "Why don't you ask me to come along with such a good thing? You didn't take me to Baihua Tower before." Lin Xinghe sneered inwardly and said, "I'm afraid you can't stand it. What if you get excited and die? I don't have the money to buy you a coffin." This is not just an excuse. After all, that fei shui is not only dancing, but also relying on dancing to absorb the essence of the guests. A person who suddenly loses so much energy cannot have no impact at all. And Lao Li often says that his deadline is approaching and his life is not long, and his physical condition is definitely not as good as that of ordinary people. If he sees the deadline earlier, although one eventually dies, Lin Xinghe couldn't bear to let Old Li, who had raised him for 16 years, die, and he still died in that way. Chapter 3. The Master is by my side. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Can't I bear it? Old Li felt that he had been looked down upon, pouted unwillingly, patted his chest, and said, I'll go see it alone tomorrow. This old boy, he thinks his life is long. You. Lin Xinghe sneered inwardly, then frowned and asked, "So, do you still have private money?" Lao Li's face stiffened as he waved his hand and sneered, "I'm joking, there's nothing left." Lin Xinghe raised his eyebrows and said suspiciously, "Really?" Old Li nodded with clear eyes and said, "Really?" If it had been before, Lin Xinghe might not have doubted him. After all, he and Lao Li make a living by chopping firewood up the mountain every day, earning a few yuan. After deducting the consumption of firewood, rice, oil, and salt, there is not much money left. But today, Old Li was able to pull out 10 taels of silver, breaking Lin Xinghe's impression of Old Li over the years. This old kid must have hidden money. Lin Xinghe said to himself, "I have awakened my perspective eye, and everything is invisible before my eyes. When I recover my spirit tomorrow, let's explore the truth again." As for now, he only feels dizzy, as if he has completed 100 test papers, with a bit of mental exhaustion. At this point, he went back to his room and lay on the bed, and soon fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Lin Xinghe woke up early and recalled not only awakening the system that had been waiting for 16 years, but also indulging in a useless internal skill. He was instantly refreshed and felt refreshed. At the same time, he didn't forget about the private money and looked towards the next bed. Lao Li always wakes up early, and the bed next door is already empty. Observe. Lin Xinghe wanted to see how much money was left for Lao Li's private property, not just to keep it for himself, but to use it as a capital to go around the casino. It's not difficult to win money with his cheats. After winning the money, they can return the principal, and their living conditions can also be improved, at least without having to go to the mountains to chop firewood every day. From an observation perspective, the bed, walls, and tiles became transparent to him. His gaze swept through the room and shifted to the next stove. There is a firewood pile next to the stove, and there is a piece of blue stone under the firewood pile. Since Lin Xinghe had a memory, the blue stone was placed there, and Old Li said it was placed to prevent moisture. Now it seems that this is not the case. Because he saw 2 boxes hidden under the blue stone, and a small box on top contained 2 ingots of silver, which obviously belonged to Lao Li's private money. Lin Xinghe did not find any surprise in finding Lao Li's private money, only because there was a larger and longer box underneath it, and the items inside surprised him. That's a long sword. Although the appearance of the long sword is simple and unadorned, it is definitely a weapon, not a decoration. Why does old Li have such a thing? Shouldn't it be picked up? Of course, Lin Xinghe has another speculation. That old Li is a hidden expert. After all, he has read many novels in his past life, and he is not unfamiliar with similar plots. It's just that old Li looks like an ordinary farmer or woodcutter, and he's still bald, which is a bit different from his impression of a charming, elegant hidden world expert. Lin Xinghe thought as he shifted his gaze to the restroom. Lao Li is washing his face there. From an observational perspective, Lin Xinghe saw light. To be precise, that is true qi, and the brightness is even higher than that of the dancer yesterday, indicating that Lao Li's skills are much deeper than that dancer's. What a master! Shocked. Old Li, who has been together for 16 years, is actually a martial arts master. Who said that a master cannot be bald? Upon this thought, Lin Xinghe was relieved. As for the origin of those private money, there are many ways for experts to make money. The simplest way is to rob the rich to help the poor. Lin Xinghe thought to himself, turning off the observation perspective. After all, keeping the observation on all the time would consume a lot of mental energy. Although the observation was closed, his gaze remained fixed on the direction of Lao Li, wondering, since Lao Li is a master, why hasn't he shown any martial arts skills in front of me since childhood? If it's just an ordinary recluse, why not use any martial arts skills? Martial arts are not only used to defeat enemies and win, but also to facilitate daily life. Besides, they can walk much faster than ordinary people. But in these 16 years, Lao Li has never used any martial arts skills at all, and is no different from ordinary elderly people in any aspect. And a few years ago, I also showed a longing for martial arts, but old Li didn't even teach me a single move. Do we need to hide to this extent in seclusion? Lin Xinghe felt it was not very reasonable and continued to speculate. Did Lao Li not voluntarily retire, but was forced to retire? For example, if there is a powerful enemy who is still alive and has to live in seclusion in the countryside, hiding himself as an ordinary person, in order to survive and barely show any martial arts skills. Lin Xinghe believes that this possibility is very high. Then, he began to struggle again. Do you want to highlight Lao Li's martial arts skills? If this matter is exposed, old Li may take the opportunity to teach him martial arts, or he may leave him at this moment. Old Li walked in and saw Lin Xinghe sitting on the bed in a daze. He said, "Xinghe, since you're awake, don't be in a daze." Okay. Lin Xinghe no longer worries, let nature take its course. After washing up, he took the dry rations handed over by Lao Li, went up the mountain with an axe to chop firewood, and then left the new firewood at home to dry. He then transported the dried firewood that had been dried yesterday to the market for sale. I don't know if it's because after experiencing the ball at Baihua Tower yesterday, many people lost a lot of energy and needed to take tonics to recover, so today's pharmacy, firewood, and other businesses have improved. As soon as Lin Xinghe arrived at the market, someone came to buy firewood. I bought these firewood. Coincidentally, the person who came to buy Lin Xinghe's firewood this time was also the butler from the town magistrate's mansion yesterday. Lin Xinghe said, 101, pay first, no free delivery. The butler widened his eyes and said, little bastard, you're looking for a fight. Lin Xinghe smiled lightly and said, I need 200 yuan now. If you don't want to buy, you can go somewhere else and don't disturb my business. Having a gun in hand makes one's waist stiff. He has developed true qi, and there is also a hidden world master at home, which gives him confidence. You. The butler was taken aback when he saw that he was confident and fearless, and then secretly said, what's wrong with this kid? Why did he suddenly become angry? What gave him such courage? Did you find any support? He knows that my master is the magistrate, but he dares to be so tough. He must have a powerful figure to support him. Maybe it's those murderous Jianghu rangers. I provoked him, he shouldn't have offended my whole family, right? The butler broke out in a cold sweat. He bullied the weak and feared the hard, so he didn't dare to offend the martial arts wanderers. He immediately took out 1 or 2 silver coins and handed them over, begging, "Young brother, I bought these firewood. I offended you a lot yesterday. Please forgive me a lot, young brother." Lin Xinghe just wanted to drive away the butler, but he didn't expect the other party to pay so readily, return 5 times the money, and even humbly beg for mercy. Seeing Lin Xinghe silent, the butler became even more nervous and secretly thought to himself that this kid was not satisfied yet. It seems that I have to spend money to alleviate the disaster. So he took out 1 or 2 silver coins and said with a smile, "This is an apology, little brother Hai Han. Seeing how sincere you are, this matter is over." Lin Xinghe accepted the silver. "Thank you. Thank you." The butler repeatedly thanked and called the 2 servants from yesterday, asking them to kowtow and apologize to Lin Xinghe, and then move the firewood. Lin Xinghe pinched 2 taels of silver and smiled in his heart, saying, "So as long as you're tough, you can avoid being bullied. If someone wants to be tough, they must have real skills. How to improve one's true abilities? Practice it." After selling the firewood, Lin Xinghe returned to his residence and began practicing the internal skills he had learned from Fei Shui. That is to say, the heavenly demon lures. However, he did not know the name, and the panel also asked him to rename it, so he temporarily referred to it as number 1 internal skill. When practicing the number 1 internal skill, there is no need for a specific posture, you can sit, lie down, or walk. Of course, it's best to be in a stationary state because he's not yet proficient in this internal skill and can't practice while exercising like that dancer. Why is the internal skill cultivation much slower than yesterday? Lin Xinghe pondered the reason and said to himself, "I understand. This internal skill is used to absorb external essence. Yesterday at the 100 Flowers Tower, there was a large amount of essence that could be absorbed, but now there is none. Of course, practicing it slowly. In addition, there is another reason. Yesterday, he practiced from an observational perspective, which was equivalent to opening up a full picture view, and he was very clear on which meridian the true qi should flow in. But now he hasn't opened his observation angle, which is like a blind person touching an elephant, and can only let his true qi explore and move forward. If he makes a mistake, he will have to start from scratch. Observe." Lin Xinghe decisively entered the observation perspective and clearly saw the flow of true qi in his body, which indeed increased his speed of movement several times. "I don't know how fast my cultivation speed is, can it compare to those geniuses?" He is new to martial arts, but of course he doesn't know how terrifying his speed of using martial arts is. Any genius must exercise their skills carefully in the early stages of cultivation to prevent their true energy from colliding with their meridians and causing them to become demonic. Endocrine imbalance, resulting in symptoms such as inability to lift, madness, and urinary incontinence. And because he can see the meridians, he has no such worries at all, it's like letting true qi drive through the meridians. Ordinary people practice for at least half an hour for a week. In just half a quarter of an hour, Lin Xinghe's true energy will pass through all 4 limbs and complete a great cycle of heaven. When it returns to the heart acupoint, it will become a bit thicker than yesterday. Name: Lin Xinghe. Skills. Observation, number 1 internal skill, true qi. 2. Chapter 4. Absorbing sunlight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feeling the increase of true qi in his body, Lin Xinghe smiled slightly, feeling a sense of joy of harvest. "I don't know how fast I practice, let's compare tonight with old Li." With this in mind, he closed his observation angle and stopped practicing. Because his observation perspective can only last for 15 minutes a day, at least for the time being. That night, while sleeping, he used observation to observe the position of Lao Li. Lao Li's true energy is much brighter than mine, and looking back, Fei Shui's true energy is also brighter than mine. Does brightness mean the strength of true energy? During Lin Xinghe's contemplation, a new change occurred on the panel. Name: Lin Xinghe, Skills. Observation, number 1 internal skill, True Qi quantity. 2. True Qi strength. 1. Seeing this, the brightness of Lin Xinghe's secret passage is indeed the intensity. Old Li's true energy intensity seems to be 10 times higher than mine. Is Old Li's true energy intensity 10? Is true Qi strength 10 even considered a master? Lin Xinghe was not clear, so he put these trivial matters aside for the time being and began to compare his true Qi flow speed with that of Lao Li. Triple. In the end, he estimated this value. If Lao Li is a martial arts expert, wouldn't it be said that his martial arts speed is 3 times that of a martial arts expert? His cultivation speed is 3 times that of a martial arts master. Thinking of this, Lin Xinghe couldn't help feeling excited. But then he shook his head again. Firstly, Lao Li may just be an ordinary martial artist, not necessarily at the level of a master. Secondly, Lao Li is sleeping, and his true Qi flow at this moment belongs to automatic energy transfer, which should not be faster than his speed when he actively applies energy. Finally, he could only achieve triple speed under observation, and based on the situation during his time at Baihua Tower the day before yesterday, his observation angle could only be maintained for less than 15 minutes. Even with triple speed, one can only maintain a triple speed of 15 minutes per day. Afterwards, they become drowsy and want to sleep, practicing for 15 minutes a day. Overall, it may not be as fast as the practice speed of ordinary martial artists. Lin Xinghe let out a long sigh and closed his observation angle. Lao Li spoke out and said, "Can't you sleep?" Lin Xinghe was surprised, how could Old Li not sleep? Just now, through observation, he saw that Lao Li's heartbeat and breathing were both smooth and symmetrical. He thought that was proof that Lao Li had fallen asleep. He resumed his observation and looked at Old Li. Compared to before, there has been no change in heartbeat and breathing. Old Li didn't hear Lin Xinghe's answer and joked to himself, "You shouldn't still be thinking about that dancer last night, so you can't sleep, right? Oh, you're done, you've fallen in love." What Lin Xinghe muttered incessantly and corrected, "No, don't talk nonsense." At the same time, he was secretly surprised because he noticed that while Lao Li was speaking, his heart rate and breathing remained unchanged. Upon closer inspection, Old Li was breathing, but his heart was not beating at all. Just after the blood flows into the heart swells up, and after the blood flows away, the heart contracts again. Since the heart is not beating, how does blood flow? True Qi. It's true Qi. Lao Li is using true Qi to promote blood flow. Lin Xinghe's first reaction was unbelievable, but on second thought, since there is such a wonderful energy as true Qi, everything seems to be taken for granted. Perhaps this is the effect of Lao Li's internal skill cultivation. Lin Xinghe activated his true Qi and imitated Lao Li's internal skill. The first internal skill, Heavenly Demon Introduction, is mainly practiced on the meridians on the surface of the body in order to absorb external essence. However, Lao Li's internal skill is completely opposite, involving very little surface meridians, more meridians between internal organs, and even connecting to the brain through the spine. For Lin Xinghe, the most difficult step is the brain. Because his observation perspective can only be achieved through his eyes, he can observe the meridians below his neck by lowering his head, but he cannot observe the parts above his neck, so he cannot see the meridians in his neck or head. After the true Qi enters the brain, one can only grope forward like in ordinary cultivation. Did you sleep? Old Li heard Lin Xinghe's breathing gradually stabilize and thought he was asleep, so he stopped making any noise to disturb him. Little did they know that Lin Xinghe was practicing his internal skills. His internal martial arts title is Turtle Breath Revival, which evolved from the combination of turtle breath and mind mastery. It is not for defeating enemies, but for healing and saving lives. After refining, the cultivator can disguise themselves as lifeless dead people, while also having the effect of nourishing the mind and healing injuries. 16 years ago, Lao Li was seriously injured. If someone else had died on the spot, he should have died on the spot. However, he relied on this internal skill to survive until now. However, it will reach its limit in at most 6 months, which is also why he said his deadline is approaching. Lin Xinghe referred to the internal skill he learned from Lao Li as the second internal skill. The true qi of this second internal skill circulates throughout the day and finally flows into the brain. Although his skills were not yet sufficient to reach the level of disguising himself as a dead person, he still felt a refreshing sensation. It seems like I have already slept for a while, and my spirit has recovered quite a bit. The cost is that the amount of true qi produced by practicing the second internal skill for a week is 7 or 8 times less. Lin Xinghe thought to himself, can this internal skill turn true qi into my spirit? Or can it consume some true qi to accelerate spiritual recovery? Either way, it is beneficial for him. His observation perspective requires mental energy to use, and this second internal skill can just accelerate mental recovery, making the two the perfect combination. So he focused on practicing the second internal skill. The first internal skill is specifically designed to absorb external essence. When there is no essence to absorb, the amount of true qi obtained from cultivation is not as good as the second internal skill. It should be that the number one internal skill is incomplete. Speculating like this, he focused on practicing the second internal skill that night. The more you practice, the more energetic you become. Even if you haven't slept all night, you don't feel tired. The next morning, he followed Old Li up the mountain to chop firewood as usual. In the afternoon, I will go to the market to sell firewood, and when I return, I will practice my first internal skill. After dinner, lie in bed and practice the second internal skill instead of sleeping. On the 20th day after awakening the observation perspective, the duration of Lin Xinghe's test observation perspective had increased from 15 minutes to 2/4. On the 30th day, while selling firewood, Lin Xinghe saw pedestrians on the road and wanted to see if there were any other hidden experts in the town. He couldn't help but open his observation angle. I didn't find any experts, only a copper plate buried in the dirt road under my feet. He dug it out and put it in his pocket. Although it's a small sum of money, there is an indescribable joy because it was picked up for nothing. On the 32nd day, Lin Xinghe went to the martial arts school in the town to take a look and found that neither the school owner or the disciples had true qi in their bodies. This kind of lack of true energy martial arts can only strengthen the body to the extreme, without magical effects, and may not even be comparable to the body he practices every day by chopping firewood in the mountains. So Lin Xinghe left disappointed. On the 45th day, Lin Xinghe was looking for martial arts experts in the town from an observational perspective. I found a clay jar buried under Uncle Nyo's bed, containing some copper coins and broken silver. It seems to be Uncle Nyo's private money. Mrs. Nyo and a man were lying in bed, but the man was not Uncle Nyo, but Mr. Wan. On the 46th day, Lin Xinghe ran into Uncle Nyo while chopping firewood on the mountain and hinted to him to go home early. On the 50th day, Lin Xinghe ran into Uncle Nyo again on the mountain and learned that he had separated from Aunt Nyo. Uncle Nyo seemed to be completely transformed, talking to Lin Xinghe about life, and finally expressed his desire to go out and explore. Lin Xinghe gave spiritual support to this, but Uncle Nyo was illiterate, so it was estimated that if he left Wudong town without permission, he would become a refugee from a civilian, or be sent back or die outside. On the 60th day, I found a penny and continued to practice the second internal skill. The duration of the observation angle was extended to 3/4 of an hour. On the 70th day, I heard that Fei Shui was having a dance party at Baihua Tower again. He didn't have the money but couldn't go. The observation time was extended to 4/4 of an hour, which is half an hour. On the 80th day, he picked up money again. Old Li's health was deteriorating, and Lin Xinghe let him rest at home and began to go up the mountain alone to chop firewood. On the 90th day, Lin Xinghe did not choose to go up the mountain with other woodcutters. These days, he acted alone. Besides chopping firewood, he also wants to test his cultivation achievements. Name: Lin Xinghe. Skills: Observation, first internal skill, second internal skill, true qi quantity. 100, true qi strength. 3. Looking at the amount of true qi that had just reached 3 digits, Lin Xinghe, full of anticipation, went up the mountain and came to a pine tree with thin arms. Observe. Lin Xinghe opened the observation perspective, looked around, and confirmed that there was no one else within 100 meters, then closed the observation perspective and focused his attention on the pine tree in front of him. He held the handle of the axe in his right hand and muttered, 3 months of skill, let's see if you can handle it. As the words fell, he swung an axe towards the pine tree. With a snap, the axe blade embedded into the trunk of the tree. Lin Xinghe was stunned for a moment, then pulled out his axe and struck several more times, each time embedded in the trunk of the tree. After more than 10 axes, the pine tree fell. How come this effect is not much different from my usual chopping of trees? Am I too weak in my skills for the past 3 months? Lin Xinghe pondered for a moment, feeling that perhaps his skills were not very good. In fact, it is not the case. Although his current martial arts skills are not considered experts in the martial arts world, they are equivalent to the level of an ordinary person who has been practicing hard for a year, and he is definitely not weak. It's just because he doesn't know how to use his energy and can't convert his true energy into his body's energy, that his strength is no different from usual. Lin Xinghe thought it was his own lack of skills, so he thought about ways to quickly improve his skills. The second internal skill can only be practiced step by step, but the first internal skill can absorb external essence and transform it into true qi. To quickly improve one's strength, one must rely on the first internal skill. The first internal skill requires absorbing external essence. Where can I find the essence? Is it the 100 Flowers Tower? There is indeed a lot of energy there, but Fei Shui holds a dance every 2 weeks, which means harvesting a wave of leeks every 2 weeks. Leaving aside the fact that I don't have the money to go to Baihua Tower, even if I can, absorbing the essence in Baihua Tower is like a tiger's mouth snatching food. It is very likely that Fei Shui will discover any clues and cause unnecessary trouble. At this point, Lin Xinghe denied his plan to go to Baihua Tower. Since we're not going to the 100 Flowers Tower, where is there still essence? Lin Xinghe couldn't help but think about a serious question. Essence is physical strength, and physical strength comes from food. According to the food chain, all energy comes from the sun. Thinking of this, he glanced up at the sun. Why can't the first internal skill generate true qi by absorbing sunlight? Is it because the level is not enough to absorb sunlight? Chapter 5. Rebirth in the Medical Center. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Legend has it that there are immortals in this world. Lin Xinghe doesn't know whether the legend is true or not. If there is a real immortal, then the essence of the sun and the moon should also be true. In other words, there is a method of absorbing sunlight. However, this is just if. Rumors in the martial arts world may be spread falsely, not necessarily true. Instead of pursuing elusive immortals, it's better to look at the real pine tree in front of you. Lin Xinghe lowered his head and looked at the pine tree that had been pointed down, muttering to himself, we can't absorb sunlight. What about the essence of the plants? Observation. Opening the observation perspective, he could see the inside and outside of this pine tree, from its epidermis to its annual rings, and even the sap inside. He didn't see the essence, to be precise, the pine tree's essence had not yet been stimulated. When a person's spirit is not yet stimulated, their observation perspective is also invisible. For example, when he looks at passers-by from an observational perspective in the market, he cannot see the essence of the passers-by. Therefore, it can be basically confirmed that only the stimulated essence can be seen by him. How can we extract the essence of plants? Fei Shui stimulates human spirit through dancing, which obviously does not work for plants. Even if it works, Lin Xinghe won't know. Do you want to give it a try? Use my true qi to drive the essence of the pine tree. Lin Xinghe bent down, placed the axe on the ground, reached out with both hands, and grabbed towards the pine tree. Hold down the fracture of the pine tree with your left hand, deliver true qi into the trunk, and press your right hand on the trunk 1 meter away to activate the number 1 internal skill. Simply put, it means allowing true qi to flow from the left hand to the right hand. Just an extra trunk between the left and right hands. 10 parts of true qi flows out from the left hand, passes through the tree trunk, and when absorbed by the right hand, only 9 parts remain. The true qi not only does not increase, but also decreases. Ordinary people feel that the benefits do not match the efforts, so they will immediately stop this kind of cultivation. Lin Xinghe has an observation perspective, which allows for a clear view of the changes in true qi. So he saw that as he flowed through the trunk, his true energy absorbed a tiny bit of essence from the trunk. It's possible. Although the amount of this true qi is indeed small, the absorption of the essence of the pine tree has caused a slight change in the quality of this true qi. The original true qi was quite loose, like dry flour, but now it seems a bit sticky, like tree juice. Is it good or bad that the true qi has deteriorated? He tested it a bit and found, these sticky true qi are easier to control than ordinary true qi. Since it's controllable, that's a good thing. Lin Xinghe looked at the pine tree and smiled, pine tree, help me practice. Half an hour later, he transformed half of the true qi in his body, which is the true qi generated by the first internal skill, into sticky true qi. Name: Lin Xinghe. Skills. Observation, number 1 internal skill, mutation, number 2 internal skill, number of true qi. 95, true qi strength. 3. Seeing the number of true qi turn into 2 digits, he didn't feel regretful. He looked at the axe he had placed on the ground, raised his right hand, and aimed his palm at the handle. At the next moment, a sudden change will occur. The axe seemed to be caught by an invisible hand, suddenly jumping up and falling into the hands of Lin Xinghe without a trace. Hey, retrieve things from space. Lin Xinghe smiled and placed the axe on the ground, then tried to retrieve the object from the air. If this scene were to be seen by people in the martial arts world, they would have to be shocked to the point where their jaws would drop. Because even an ordinary person in the martial arts world who has been practicing hard for 10 years may not be able to develop the ability to retrieve objects from afar. Lin Xinghe has only been practicing for 3 months now, without guidance from a famous teacher and lacking knowledge of martial arts. He can only explore on his own and even achieve the ability to retrieve objects from afar. It is simply unbelievable. If this matter were to be discussed in the martial arts world, not many people would believe it. This sticky true qi is really good. Even if it's 3 feet away from the body, it can still be controlled, but I don't know where to go the farthest. Lin Xinghe tested it and found that his range for retrieving items from the air was about 1 zhang away, which is just over 3 meters. If it's any further away, he won't be able to pick up anything, even a single leaf. After the test was over, Lin Xinghe looked at the sky and said to himself, it's almost time to go back. So he swung his axe and quickly chopped the pine tree into several pieces. Although his strength did not increase due to the true qi in his body, his recovery speed did indeed increase significantly. He swung and slashed dozens of times without the need to stop and rest. After chopping the pine tree into pieces, tie it up with ropes, carry it down the mountain, and run for miles without much breathing. Back home, put the firewood in the yard to dry. At this moment, he heard several coughs coming from inside the house. Lin Xinghe furrowed his brow and walked into the room, seeing old Li coughing in bed. He opened his observation angle and focused his gaze on old Li's heart. The heart is beating. A normal person's heart can beat, but Lao Li's condition is abnormal. Previously, when Lao Li's heart didn't beat and relied solely on genuine qi to drive blood flow, his body was still quite healthy. The heart is beating now, like a normal person who relies on the heart to drive blood flow, but the body is getting worse and worse. Lao Li, go see the doctor. This is not the first time he has said this, but every time Old Li refuses. No, Old Li shook his head and refused this time. Lin Xinghe said helplessly, it's not good to avoid illness and medical treatment. Coughing like this is not a solution. At least drink some medicine to make your body feel better. After pondering for a moment, Lao Li said, all right, can you help me catch some medicine to dispel the heat? Upon hearing this, Lin Xinghe smiled and immediately took the money with him, heading straight to the medical clinic in the town. This medical institution is called the Bai Family Medical Institution because the old doctor's surname is Bai. Doctor, I want to buy a pair of antipyretic medicine. Did you get angry? The person who spoke was not Dr. Bai, but a little girl of 13 or 14 years old, with a beautiful appearance and agile eyes. She was a beautiful embryo. Lin Xinghe doesn't know this little girl. As a traveler, even in his youth, he couldn't play with the children in the town, so he naturally didn't have many friends. Yes. A casual response made the little girl frown. She went to the medicine cabinet and grabbed a pair of medicine, wrapped it in oil paper, and said, this is the soup for removing heat. Boil it for half an hour, filter out the medicine residue, let it cool, and then you can drink it. Thank you very much, young doctor. Lin Xinghe took the medicine package and bowed his hand to thank him. The little girl said, 21. Lin Xinghe secretly thought it was really expensive. He took out a money bag from his pocket, counted 20 copper coins, and handed it over. Then he picked up the medicine bag and turned around to leave. But a voice came from behind. My name is Baiji, what is your name? It was the voice of the little girl, and Lin Xinghe turned around and also reported his name. Lin Xinghe. After speaking, Baiji fell into silence. Lin Xinghe thought the other party wanted to make friends, but when he asked a question, there was no further explanation, and he suddenly felt a bit confused. Seeing that there was nothing else to do, he didn't delay any longer. After saying goodbye, he walked out of the hospital with his medicine bag. Baiji looked at the door and muttered, Lin Xinghe. It seems that there was no such person in Wudong town in the previous life, or did I forget those things because they were too long ago? This Baiji is the granddaughter of Dr. Bai and also a reborn one. In the previous life, she was accepted as a disciple by the 6th-generation leader of Xiuxian Valley who passed by Wudong town. Because of her high aptitude, she got the true biography. It seemed that she had the tendency to become the 7th-generation leader, but she was also envied by the elder martial sister. During a secret exploration, I was poisoned by my senior sister and eventually died in the secret realm. I thought there would never be another one, but I didn't expect to be reborn when I was young. In this life, she decided not to go to the Medicine God Valley. Because wherever there are people, there are grudges and grievances. Even in the Medicine God Valley, which takes saving the world as its own responsibility, there are open and hidden struggles. Instead of going to the Medicine God Valley to engage in infighting with senior sisters, it's better to stay in the medical clinic in this remote town. Being a young doctor is also good, free and worry-free. As for the extra Lin Xinghe, he is mostly just an insignificant person. Baiji felt that it was only because she had not noticed such a person in her past life that she stopped worrying. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked in and asked, "Where is Dr. Bai?" Baiji saw that his footwork was light and stable, and there seemed to be traces of martial arts practice. She thought to herself that he was a wanderer in the martial arts world and said, "Grandpa has gone out for consultation. If you want to see a doctor, please sit down. Ordinary minor injuries and illnesses don't need to wait for my grandfather to come back. I can also treat them." She is quite modest in saying so. As a disciple of the medicine god Valley in her past life, even though she lost all her skills after being reborn, she did not lose her medical skills. Despite her young age, her medical skills were actually higher than her grandfather, Dr. Bai. Chapter 6. If the public does not abandon, I am willing to worship. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The middle-aged man glanced at Bai Ji and thought to himself, let's just be a living horse doctor. He said, please bring the medicine box with me, little doctor. My patient has difficulty moving. Bai Ji nodded and said, wait a moment. After speaking, he went to the back hall to fetch a medicine box and followed the middle-aged man out of the clinic. The middle-aged man did not take Bai Ji to the inn, but instead went to a broken kiln outside the town. Bai Ji felt a chill in her heart and said to herself, the body of my grandfather in the previous life appeared here. Did they actually cause my grandfather's death in the previous life? In thought, she had followed the middle-aged man into the dilapidated kiln and saw that there were around 20 people on both sides, dressed in uniform black clothes, wielding swords and knives, clearly not ordinary people. At the innermost was a strong man, with a young man lying beside him. Bai Ji knew at a glance that the young man had a problem and was also poisoned. The strong man frowned when he saw that Bai Ji was just a 13 or 14-year-old girl and said, Old Six, I asked you to go call a doctor. Why did a little girl come? The middle-aged man was about to explain, but Bai Ji said first, do you still want me to treat him? This preemptive move stunned the strong man, leaving him speechless. The young man lying down was his own younger brother, and he naturally wanted to save him, so he had to make a plea. Bai Ji walked forward and saw the young man's eyebrows furrowed and his face turning pale. She took out 2 brown pills from her medicine box and threw them into the young man's mouth. Continuing to tear open, the young man's sleeve revealed a blackened scratch. The scar was caught by a raptor, and the claw was poisoned. Could it be a poisonous insect carving? Is there such a strange animal near Wudong town? Bai Ji was secretly startled, and her movements were not slow. She took out 5 silver needles and stabbed them in a nearby acupoint. She then bounced a few more times on the silver needles, and a burst of black blood burst out from the wound. After the black blood turned red, the young man's face improved a lot and his tight eyebrows relaxed. Bai Ji pulled out the silver needle, placed it in the medicine box, stood up, and calmly said, the diagnosis and treatment fee is 10 taels. The strong man was taken aback and asked, has the poison been detoxified? Bai Ji remained silent, which can be considered as acquiescence. The young man opened his eyes and slowly sat up, looking somewhat bewildered. Brother. The strong man was both surprised and delighted when he saw this. Surprisingly, I didn't expect the little girl in this remote town to have such skills and effortlessly detoxify his brother's body. Fortunately, as long as this little girl is around, when facing the Gu eagle in the pond, the chances of winning will greatly increase. God help me too. The strong man raised his hand and asked someone to hand over 100 taels of silver to Bai Ji, saying, thank you very much, Mississippi Miss, you are really a divine doctor. Just now, it was Wu who was blind. Please forgive me, the divine doctor. I only need 10 taels. Bai Ji only took 1 ingot of silver and picked up the medicine box before leaving. At this moment, the 2 people near the door pulled out their long knives from their waists and blocked the way out. Upon seeing this, Bai Ji furrowed her eyebrows and turned to look at Mr. Wu. What does this mean? Wu Laoda carried his hands on his back and said with a smile, Miss Divine Doctor, these silver coins are not meant to make amends, but to ask you to use your medical skills to protect us comprehensively. As a disciple of the medicine god Valley in her past life, Bai Ji still practiced the martial arts of the medicine god Valley in this life. However, the martial arts of the medicine god Valley are more focused on health preservation. Although it can prolong life and maintain youthfulness, she is not good at fighting. Especially when the opponent's strength is unknown and there are many people, it is a bad idea to confront them head-on. Baiji's mind turned to electricity and said, I'm a doctor, not a bodyguard. Since you want me to do something extra, you have to agree to 3 additional requests. Mr. Wu raised the corner of his mouth and said, Miss Divine Doctor, please speak up. Mr. Wu will do his best. Baiji said, firstly, it's already late and I need to rest. Someone looked up at the sky and said, it's only 3 strokes of the sun, where's it too late? Baiji remained unmoved and quietly looked at Wu Laoda. Wu said, okay. Anyway, my second younger brother has just detoxified and his body is quite weak. He needs to rest for a while, and the goo eagle in the cold pool cannot escape. Why wait for a while? I waited until the next day. The next morning, Lin Xinghe went up the mountain to chop firewood as usual. Halfway through, I caught a glimpse of a group of people in black walking towards the mountains in a grand manner. Among them was an acquaintance, a young doctor named Baiji whom I had seen in the clinic yesterday. Seeing this situation, Lin Xinghe thought to himself, are you going into the mountain to collect herbs? Mr. Wu also saw the figure of Lin Xinghe, his eyes turned, and he had a plan in mind. He whispered, this trip is of great significance, and outsiders should not know about it. As the words fell, 2 henchmen drew their swords forward. Gone. Lin Xinghe was so scared that he ran away. Although he currently possesses true energy, apart from his recovery ability, there has been no other improvement. In addition, he has not had much combat experience in his past or present life, so his first reaction to a crisis is of course to run. Baiji felt a chill in her heart. She didn't expect this group of people to be so ruthless, willing to kill innocent people in order to keep it a secret. She hurriedly said, wait a minute. She has a kind nature and comes from a family of medical experts. In her past life, she had experience in the medicine god valley and took it as her responsibility to save people. She couldn't bear to see innocent people die, so she tried to persuade them without hesitation. Wu Laoda frowned and said, oh. What advice does the divine doctor girl have? Baiji said, don't kill him. Wu laughed and asked, is this the second requirement? Baiji nodded and said, calculate. Wu Laoda laughed heartily. His move was just to force Baiji to use up the second request, which was the 3 shackles on his body. If one was missing, it would make him happy. Between chatting and laughing, he had already taken big steps forward, with a speed as fast as the wind, passing over 2 subordinates. Then, tapping on the ground with his toes, he leaped forward like a dragonfly skimming the water, and with a casual wave, pushed Lin Xinghe to the ground. Lin Xinghe fell and crouched down, enduring pain as he looked at the strong man in front of him and said, Your Excellency. Your surname. Mr. Wu looked at his palm and smiled as he turned towards the Lin Xing River, saying, Young man, your body is quite strong and sturdy. It's a good material for practicing martial arts. Lin Xinghe chuckled a few times and said, Thank you for your praise. He has been following old Li up the mountain all year round to chop firewood, and of course his body is strong. Otherwise, how could he do this job? Wu Laoda saw him carrying an axe on his back and knew that he was a young woodcutter. It was reasonable to have this physique, so he said, From today on, you can hang out with me. My surname is Wu, and you will call me Laoda from now on. The tone is domineering, as if giving orders. Although he has a hint of cherishing talent, his attitude towards the thugs is naturally not as good as towards Baiji. After all, Baiji is a divine doctor, and her status is far above that of ordinary thugs. Can I? Lin Xinghe wanted to refuse. Even if you want to learn from a master, the first choice is undoubtedly from a prestigious and upright sect in the martial arts world. Being a disciple of a prestigious and upright sect will make it easier to register for a martial arts account when traveling in the martial arts world in the future. This person is actually called Mr. Wu, mostly from a wild chicken sect background. Mr. Wu said coldly, either agree, or die. Lin Xinghe felt a chill in his heart. Wudong town has been quiet for many years, and occasionally some escorts pass by, and he just cut firewood as always. Why did he encounter this misfortune? Thinking of the lightness skills that this person had previously demonstrated, he understood that he couldn't escape today. For the current plan, he could only ride a donkey and find a horse, taking each step to see. He stood up and arched his hand, saying, "Since the boss doesn't mind, Xinghe is willing to worship you as his master." Mr. Wu sneered a few times and said, "You think so beautifully. People who want to be my disciples can line up on the same street, and it's not your turn to judge seniority. Humph, come with me." With a stronger momentum than others, Lin Xinghe had to grit his teeth and keep up. "You." Baizhi frowned and showed displeasure when she saw that although Wu had not killed anyone, she had not let them go. Wu Laoda didn't take it seriously and instead smiled, saying, "Miss Divine Doctor, your request is just not to kill him, but not to let him go." Upon hearing this, Lin Xinghe roughly understood the situation. It seemed that the boss had intended to kill him completely, but was stopped by Miss Baizhi. But Mr. Wu played another word game and fooled Miss Baizhi. Chapter 7. As long as I die first, no one can kill me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wudong Town is called Wudong Town because it is located next to Wudong Mountain. The reason why Wudong Mountain is called Wudong Mountain is that it is said that some people saw a phoenix here hundreds of years ago. The so-called called phoenix perched in Wudong, so this mountain range was named Wudong Mountain. Lin Xinghe usually cuts firewood on the outside of Wudong Mountain and never goes deep inside. After all, there may not be a phoenix on the inside, but there must be jackals, wolves, tigers, and leopards. But this time, he had to go into the deep of Wudong Mountain with Wu and his party. Half an hour later, Lin Xinghe gasped for breath and said, "Can you take a break?" Actually, he is not tired. After practicing for 3 months, his true energy level is equivalent to that of an ordinary person practicing for a year. Even though he doesn't understand the method of energy transportation, the recovery effect of his true energy greatly improves his endurance. At the current speed, he won't be tired after walking for another 3 hours. He just didn't want to show his true abilities in front of this group of people and deliberately made a show of expending a lot of energy. Wu Lao laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, not bad. You're just tired now. You're really a good material for practicing martial arts. I didn't see you wrong. Thank you very much for your praise, boss." Lin Xinghe saw that even the little girl Baizhi was breathing steadily, so he pretended to be surprised and said, "Why aren't you all tired?" Wu Laoda hugged his elbows and said proudly, "When you learn lightness skills in the future, even if you run 10 miles, you won't catch a breath." Seriously. Lin Xinghe continued to pretend, but to be honest, he was not clear about the military system in this world. It would be great if he could take the opportunity to learn more about it. Mr. Wu snorted coldly, "Would I deceive you, a little woodcutter?" Lin Xinghe quickly waved his hand and said, No, I'm not disbelieving you, boss. I'm just surprised." Wu chuckled and casually drew a big cake, saying, "Since you're with me, as long as you behave well in the future, I won't treat you unfairly." Lin Xinghe felt a bit disappointed when he didn't explain the military system. On the surface, he smiled and said, "Thank you, boss." "Thank you, boss." Baizhi saw his skillful dog-like appearance and thought to herself that Lin Xinghe had joined Wu's gang, perhaps he would make a living like a fish in water. After taking a break, the team set off again. Observation. Lin Xinghe quietly opened his observation angle and focused his gaze on Wu Laoda. The strength of Wu's true qi is about 7, and his martial arts are already so excellent. Old Li's true qi strength is about 10. Is Old Li really a martial arts expert? Lin Xinghe's mind twitched as he realized that Wu's strength was probably not as strong as Lao Li during his heyday. Unfortunately, there is something wrong with Lao Li, and he is no longer in his prime. But no matter how powerful he is, After all, his true qi intensity is only 3. Now is not the time to think about it. Lin Xinghe calmed down and focused his attention on Wu Laoda's legs, seeing the flow of true energy in his legs, and copying it onto himself. He suddenly felt a lightness on his body, as if he had removed a heavy burden. In fact, the strength of his legs has increased. Stimulating certain positions with true qi. Those positions should be acupoints, right? Stimulating acupoints enhances leg and foot strength, so this is called lightness skill. Stimulating acupoints can enhance strength. No wonder my strength didn't change when I was chopping trees before. It was because I only transported true qi into my arms and didn't use it to stimulate the acupoints, so my strength didn't improve. Lin Xinghe suddenly realized and secretly made up his mind to find opportunities to learn knowledge about meridians and acupoints. Where to learn? There should be these in the clinic. Lin Xinghe instinctively glanced at Bai Ji, because Bai Ji was a doctor in the Bai family clinic. But he was still keeping his observation angle open, so at first glance he couldn't help but be taken aback. Miss Bai Ji's true qi intensity is also 7. The appearance of Mr. Wu is probably in his 30s, and he has been practicing for more than 10 or 20 years. It is reasonable to have that kind of true qi. But this Bai Ji is only 13 or 14 years old, and her true qi brightness is actually similar to that of Wu Laoda. Is it possible that she has been practicing since she was born? Or did you eat some natural ingredients and treasures? Or is this a genius? Lin Xinghe pondered while shifting his gaze to others. 3, 4, 6. Lin Xinghe judged the strength of each person's true qi, and besides Wu Laoda and Bai Ji, the middle-aged person in the team had the strongest true qi. That person's surname is Wang and his name is Lu Shun. Others call him Lao Lu. Finally, Lin Xinghe focused his gaze on Bai Ji's lower body. Bai Ji's legs also have true qi circulating in their meridians, obviously using lightness skills, but her true qi circulation route is different from that of Wu Laoda. It's another type of lightness skill, right? Lin Xinghe imitated it for a while and gradually realized that Bai Ji's lightness skills were more flexible. After learning 2 lightness skills, he turned off his observation perspective. Observing the perspective consumes energy. Although the second internal skill can restore energy, it can still save a little bit. Name: Lin Xinghe. Skills: Observation, number 1 internal skill, mutation, number 2 internal skill, number 1 lightness skill, number 2 lightness skill, number of true qi. 96, true qi strength. 3. Lin Xinghe raised his mouth slightly as he resorted to 2 lightness skills for nothing. On the other hand, Bai Ji noticed that Lin Xinghe's gaze was actually on her lap. As a reborn person, she was over 40 years old in both past and present lives. She didn't feel ashamed or angry, only amused. Lin Xinghe looked at him with thick eyebrows and big eyes, but he didn't expect that he was not only good at flattery, but also so. Bai Ji saw Lin Xinghe looking down at his own leg again, and after a while, he didn't look at anything. His head was immediately filled with question marks, and he secretly said something strange. After walking and stopping for 2 hours, I passed through the trees and thorns, and finally arrived at a quiet pool on the inside of Wudong Mountain when the sun was rising 3 poles. Here we go. Mr. Wu raised his lips and strode towards the edge of the water pool. Upon hearing this, Lin Xinghe thought to himself that this group of people had come here over mountains and mountains, mostly because there was something good hidden here. Out of curiosity, he opened his observation perspective. It doesn't matter if you don't look, you'll be startled at first sight. In the woods around the pond, there are over 30 people holding swords and knives hidden. Ambush. Lin Xinghe's heart trembled as he felt like he had entered the wolf's den before leaving the tiger's den. I am a small-town woodcutter, unknown and should not have any value in ambush. Bai Ji probably isn't either, so the target is Mr. Wu. Lin Xinghe pondered while carefully examining the true energy intensity of the more than 30 ambushes. Even the worst one was not inferior to him. If both sides fight, he will definitely be affected by the consequences. If we run away now, we probably won't be able to escape either. Both sides are dead, what should we do? Lin Xinghe didn't want to be buried here. His mind was spinning and he came up with a plan. As long as I die, no one can kill me again. He has been practicing the second internal skill for 3 months and has already discovered that besides being able to restore spirit, this internal skill also has another effect. Pretending to be dead. Ah! So Lin Xinghe let out a strange cry and collapsed to the ground. Everyone followed the sound and looked at each other. What's going on here? Baiji approached and found that Lin Xinghe had lost his breath and pulse. Her pupils couldn't help but tremble. She turned her head and said to the crowd, "He's dead." Mr. Wu was taken aback for a moment. This kid has a good physique, why did he suddenly die in good condition? After a moment of contemplation, his face changed and he said, "No, there's an ambush." Everyone was startled and quickly drew out their swords. Wang Lushan was annoyed and said, "I haven't sent a signal yet." Which bastard laid the black hand? Since he had already startled the snake, there was no need for him to hide, so he drew a knife and struck at the heart of Wu Laoda. Ah! Although Wu was on guard around, he didn't expect his own brotherhood to stab him in the back. There was no time to dodge, and blood splattered under one blow. And this knife was also a signal. The 30 ambushed people saw this and immediately jumped out of the forest. Kill. More than 50 people fought in a regiment, and the pool became a mess. Chapter 8. Power plus 1, Power plus 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lao Lu, why did you betray me? Wu Laoda was injured behind his back, with no strength in the world. He struggled to dodge the blade that was attacking him, and with a backhand sword, he pierced the throat of the wielder, while his eyes were fixed on Wang Lushan. "I'll know when you lie down," Wang Lushan sneered and then blew a whistle. A splashing water burst out from the pond, and an eagle emerged from it. Apart from being slightly larger in size, it looks no different from ordinary eagles in appearance, except for an extra horn on the head. Gudiao. Wu Laoda was busy avoiding the claws of Gudiao. As he sighed inwardly, he saw that the Gu eagle only attacked his subordinates, avoiding Wang Lushan and more than 30 people who were ambushed here. As his pupils narrowed, he remembered Wang Liushuan's whistle and exclaimed in surprise, "Did you raise this Gudiao?" Wang Lushan laughed and said, "Of course, do you think there will really be Gudiao in this dilapidated place? This is just a trap I led you here to set up. In a chaotic war, no one cares about a person who is already lying on the ground. Only those who are standing are the target." In the midst of swords and shadows, everyone turns red-eyed. Although Lin Xinghe was lying on the ground pretending to be dead, he opened his observation angle while pretending to be dead, so he could see the battle process very clearly. The sound of fighting and screams could be heard endlessly. In a moment, someone fell to the ground and died. One by one, they fell down, splashing blood staining the pool red. At first, Lin Xinghe was a bit panicked. This was the first time he had witnessed a murder in his past and present life, and he could hardly maintain his feigned death state. However, gradually he calmed down. Dogs bite dogs. Lin Xinghe was forced to join the gang and had no good impression of this group of people. He only hoped that all of them would be wiped out, so that he could retreat completely. Otherwise, it would inevitably cause a lot of trouble. Puff. A corpse landed less than 1 meter away from him. Coincidentally, when he first met this group of people, Wu Laoda ordered to kill him. 2 of his subordinates attacked him, and the body in front of him was one of them. Its true chi intensity is 3, just like Lin Xinghe. When a person dies like a lamp goes out, the strength of their true chi gradually weakens. In the observation perspective, Lin Xinghe saw the true qi gradually becoming dim inside the corpse. Perhaps after a while, these true qi will return to normal essence. This is simply a waste. Lin Xinghe thought for a moment and said to himself, anyway, you're all dead. Why don't you give me your true qi? It can also be considered as the mental loss cost when you attacked me before. At this point, he squeezed out a stream of true energy from his right fingertip. This is the true qi refined from the first internal skill, which is the heavenly demon's true qi. Yesterday, after the transformation of the pine trunk, it gained an extra stickiness compared to ordinary true qi. Strictly speaking, this already belongs to the mutated demon that attracts true qi. Normal heavenly demon's true qi cannot absorb the residual true qi in the corpse, otherwise that Fei Shui would not dance in the 100 Flowers Tower, but would go to the Yizhuang to be a corpse guardian. But Lin Xinghe is a mutated demon that attracts true qi, which is different. It is like an invisible and colorless vine, spreading from Lin Xinghe's right fingertip to the hand of the corpse, and then piercing into the body like a tree root, absorbing nutrients. Simply put, it means absorbing the remaining true qi from the corpse. If it were a living person, it would naturally be possible to resist and interrupt the absorption of true energy from the mutated demon. Unfortunately, this is a dead person and has no resistance. Number of true qi plus 30, Lin Xinghe saw that the amount of true qi had increased by 30, and he was delighted because this amount was equivalent to 1 month of cultivation. A month's worth of skill. How can this not make people happy? Unlike his skill enhancement, the corpse, after being drained of its remaining true qi, became even cooler, although there was no apparent change on the surface. After experiencing the joy of Bai's skill, he turned his gaze to a corpse 3 meters away. That is one of the more than 30 people ambushed here, also known as Wang Liushuan's subordinates, with a true qi strength of 3. This distance is a bit extreme. Lin Xinghe tested it yesterday and found that the effective distance for retrieving objects from the air is about 1 zhang, which is more than 3 meters. If it is further away, he cannot even lift a leaf. But my skills have improved for a month now, and maybe my range has also expanded. Give it a try. With this thought in mind, Lin Xinghe gathered his true energy and crawled towards the corpse 3 meters away like an invisible snake. I thought it would be very difficult, but I didn't expect to easily reach the goal. The improvement of 1 month's skill is indeed effective. Lin Xinghe was overjoyed and immediately began to absorb the remaining true qi from the corpse. Number of true qi plus 61, this residual true qi is more, equivalent to 2 months of my skill. People who die early have more residual true qi, while those who die late have less residual true qi. Probably because those who die late fight longer and consume more, resulting in less residue. People who die early are the opposite, consuming less and leaving more residue. With the accumulation of skills, a large amount of true qi is stuck by sticky true qi. With the movement of Lin Xinghe's energy, it integrates and the strength of true qi begins to increase. Lin Xinghe's original true qi strength was only 3, but after continuously absorbing his power for 3 months, his strength gradually reached the level of 4. True qi strength 4. At the same time, the absorption range has been further expanded, and the number of absorbable targets has also increased. Lin Xinghe turned his focus to other corpses. Number of true qi plus 31, this is equivalent to 1 month's worth of skill. Number of true qi plus 60, this is equivalent to 2 months' worth of my skills. Number of true qi plus 180, wow. This is amazing, equivalent to half a year of my skill. True qi strength 5. After absorbing the skill equivalent to half a year of cultivation, his true qi intensity increased to 5, and the grandeur of true qi far exceeded that of ordinary people. Mr. Wu brought more than 20 people, while Wang Lushan ambushed more than 30 people. In the clash of swords and knives, no one can endure until their true energy is exhausted and they die. In other words, everyone will leave at least one success force after death, and everyone's strength is not the same, and the quantity and quality of one success force also vary. But these skills ultimately flow into the sea and belong to Lin Xinghe's body. Or it could be equivalent to 1 month's worth of skill, or 2 months, at most 6 months. Looking at it separately, it's not too much. But the accumulated water forms a river, the accumulated soil forms a mountain, and this little bit by bit of skill accumulation is quite remarkable. Number of true Qi plus 29, number of true Qi plus 32, number of true Qi plus 66, before long, Lin Xinghe had already collected 5 years of skill. Name: Lin Xinghe, skills. Observation: Number 1 internal skill, mutation, number 2 internal skill, number 1 lightness skill, number 2 lightness skill, true Qi quantity. 1900, true Qi strength. 7. These 5 years of martial arts were calculated based on his own cultivation speed. If it were changed to an ordinary person's cultivation speed, it would actually be equivalent to 20 years of martial arts. And the strength of true Qi has also been increased to 7. Daifengshu, salad of assorted fresh vegetables. Daifengshu, salad of assorted fresh vegetables. Harvest always brings happiness, and Lin Xinghe is now full of joy. The gift of nature, moreover, when it comes to the strength of true Qi alone, he can already rival Wu Laoda. If it is counted as quantity, it is far superior to Wu Laoda. Speaking of Mr. Wu, he is in a miserable situation now. At this moment, not only did he lose 1 arm, but all 20 of his subordinates, including his own younger brother, were also killed. On the contrary, Wang Lushan was not a big deal, and even had a dozen or so subordinates and a gujiao left. Faced with this desperate situation, Mr. Wu felt grief in his heart and his face sank like water. Looking at Wang Lushan, who caused all of this, he asked in a low voice, "Lao Lu, I have nothing now, and the poison of gujiao in my body is not far from death. Can you tell me the reason for my betrayal?" Wang Lushan was proud and couldn't help but laugh, saying, "I shouldn't have said this. Do you really want to know?" Mr. Wu had a bad premonition, and the reason for it was probably because he knew how to kill and kill people. However, he still wanted to know, otherwise he would die with his eyes closed, and said in a deep voice, "Tell me." Wang Lushan said, "It was my sister-in-law who asked me to kill you." Mr. Wu was stunned and said, "She? Why?" Wang Lushan smiled and said, "Of course, I care more for my sister-in-law than you do. Big brother, you can go with peace of mind. In the future, I will take care of both our help and sister-in-law." As he spoke, he waved his hand and instructed his subordinates to attack Wu Laoda. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Wu Laoda let out a loud shout and unleashed an unprecedented force. With one fist, he smashed the face of a close person. That person flew backwards, his face shattered, and he couldn't die anymore. Ah! Wang Lushan was surprised. Chapter 9. Kill the enemy with one punch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Madam-in-law. Ah! The relationship between this gang is really complicated. Upon hearing Wang Liushuan's self-disclosure, Lin Xinghe couldn't help but feel a sigh in his heart. In this small gang, it's just so intricate and complex. How about the size of a prestigious and righteous sect? Perhaps it is due to the multitude of factions and the tendency of the same party to oppose differences. It's better to be a wandering person in the martial arts world than to be carefree. Once again, Wu Laoda unleashed a strong fighting force, smashing a head with one punch and puncturing a chest with one foot. The entire process was like chopping melons and vegetables. How fierce! Lin Xinghe was forced by Mr. Wu to join the gang, and of course, he was particularly unhappy and even disgusted with this person. However, at this moment, he couldn't help but sigh with bravery when he saw his lifelike posture. At the same time, I also observed the way Mr. Wu is currently using his energy. The route has not changed much compared to before, it's just that the speed of energy transfer has increased several times, and the meridians can no longer withstand it, with cracks appearing. However, as Mr. Wu is currently in a desperate situation, it is not a time to care about whether his meridians can withstand it. After all, there is at least a glimmer of vitality in the fight. If you don't fight, you will die 10 times without life. Wang Lushan saw Wu Laoda's crazy appearance, and a few drops of sweat appeared on his head. Obviously, he was also frightened by this scene. However, on the surface, he still pretended to be relaxed and said, "It's true that the Kuai Divine Fist Wu has set up an array. Kuai Fist has become extraordinary. Unfortunately, the more you use your skills now, the deeper the poison of Gujiao will penetrate your bone marrow. Even if there is a divine doctor here, you will be powerless." After speaking, he also glanced in the direction of Baizhi. At the beginning of the chaotic battle, Baizhi retreated to the edge of the battlefield and silently sat on the mountain watching the tiger fight. She also saw that it was an internal conflict within the gang, so she didn't want to intervene even more. She's just an outsider, she has no reason to help Wu set up the situation. After confirming that Baizhi had no intention of interfering, Wang Lushan looked at the location of Wu Laoda. In just a moment, there were only 5 minions left around Mr. Wu, all of whom were frightened by his crazy posture and dared not take action again. Waste. Wang Lushan cursed inwardly and blew a whistle, causing Gujiao to join the battle. Attack his eyes. Gujiao let out a long cry and flew into the air, pecking at Wu Laoda's eyes. Boss Wu had to raise his hand to defend. But now he only has one hand. While guarding against Gujiao, he also opens his middle door wide. Wang Lushan shouted loudly. Taking advantage of the moment, the 5 minions immediately reacted and stabbed with their swords. Poo. The sword pierced into the flesh, and 5 blades pierced into the body of Wu Laoda. Ah! Wu Laoda let out a scream and flew into a rage, disregarding the pecking and biting of Gujiao. He gritted his teeth and used his hand instead of his knife to gather the strong and powerful true energy of Kuai Fist at his fingertips, using a move to sweep the army. 5 puffs turned into one sound, and the 5 subordinates immediately covered their throats and fell to death. Mr. Wu let out a long sigh and collapsed to the ground, breathing less and exhaling more. It seems like I can't live anymore. Ha, you're doomed. Wang Lushan saw that Wu Laoda was on the brink of death, and immediately rushed forward to take Wu Laoda's life with his own hands. Unexpectedly, even though Mr. Wu only had 1 breath left, before his death, he unleashed an unexpected force and kicked Wang Liushuan's wrist, holding a knife. Ding! The knife also flew out, drawing an arc in the sky, with the tip pointing straight towards the heart of Lin Xinghe. Gone! Lin Xinghe quickly flipped over to avoid it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be pretending to be dead, but really dead. He didn't die. Baizhi was surprised to see this. She is not an ordinary doctor, but a reborn one. In her past life, she practiced in the Medicine God Valley for more than 10 years and saved countless people. She is known as the Wonderful Hand Fairy in the martial arts world. Although her medical skills may not be considered the best in the world, they are still among the top. Previously, she clearly sensed that Lin Xinghe had lost his breath and heartbeat. How could he not have died? But the fact was in front of her, and she couldn't help but believe it. She sighed in her heart and said, "I've even taken a wrong look. There's really someone out there, there's a heaven out there." On the other hand, after Wu Laoda kicked, his strength ran out and he completely lost his resistance. Wang Lushan watched for a moment, then waited for the pain in his wrist that had been kicked to subside. He stepped forward and pulled out a sword inserted into Wu Laoda's body, in order to cut off Wu Laoda's neck. Seeing that his head was separated and he could no longer die, he let out a long sigh of relief. "I'm finally dead." Wang Lushan couldn't help but be overjoyed at the thought of his charming sister. In law and the huge Kuai gang all belonging to him. Looking around, I couldn't help but feel sad when I saw that over 30 loyal subordinates who had been trained for many years had all died. It's all your fault. Wang Lushan stared fiercely at Lin Xinghe, his eyes full of murderous intent. If it weren't for Lin Xinghe suddenly pretending to be dead and accidentally letting Wu Laoda see there was an ambush around him, why would he have damaged so many loyal subordinates? Wang Lushan became more and more angry as he thought, holding his sword and walking towards Lin Xinghe. Lin Xinghe stepped back and begged for mercy, "Good man, spare your life." Although his true qi strength has reached 7, while Wang Liushuan's true qi strength is only 6, the panel data does not equal the actual combat power, it still depends on the specific performance. How much strength can be exerted depends on practical experience. His actual combat experience is almost 0, and he is more than capable of defeating Wang Lushan 1.1. To win, one must take advantage of their unpreparedness and launch a surprise attack. Stop it. Bai Ji said to stop. In her opinion, Lin Xinghe is good at pretending to be dead, but his strength may not be very strong. Even if it's a bit special, at the end of the day, she's just a 16-year-old teenager. Unlike her reborn self, she started practicing at the age of 3 after recovering her past life memories. "Little girl, you want to stop me?" Wang Lushan turned to look at Bai Ji. He remembered that it was this miraculous doctor who was the first to say that Lin Xinghe was dead that made Wu realize there was an ambush around him. He didn't know that Lin Xinghe had a martial arts skill of pretending to be dead. He thought it was just a timid ordinary woodcutter, like an ant. How could he come up with a trick of pretending to be dead and deceiving people? Wang Lushan became more and more rational as he thought, feeling that he had already seen through everything. All of this was planned by Bai Ji. Wang Lushan secretly said, "This girl is young, even if she knows some martial arts, she won't be very advanced. It's not difficult to kill her. Why not kill both of them? He covets the position of gang leader and sister.in.law, and it will not be pleasant to say about it, as it will affect his reputation in the martial arts world. Therefore, he does not intend to let anyone except himself leave this pool. Only dead people can keep it confidential." Bang! Ah! Suddenly, Wang Lushan let out a scream and his body flew out like a rag. Bai Ji was stunned. Just as Wang Lushan shifted his attention to Bai Ji, Lin Xinghe secretly thought of a good opportunity, recalling Wu Laoda's previous boxing techniques and gathering his energy in his right fist. The way of using power is exactly the same, even the speed of using power is the same. And by observing the perspective, we aimed at the weak areas of true qi on Wang Liushuan's body. Bang! Wang Lushan flew backwards and landed on the ground. He spat out blood in his mouth and looked up at Lin Xinghe in surprise, murmuring, "This Kuai fist. How could you?" He doesn't understand why a woodcutter can use pleasure fist. And this punching power is not inferior to that of Wu Laoda at all. Why can a woodcutter's skill be so profound? Is it a hidden world expert? But you're a master, what kind of grandson did you pretend to be before? Amidst a plethora of question marks, Wang Lushan didn't catch a breath and died without even closing his eyes. Not only him, but also Bai Ji was greatly shocked. When she learned about Lin Xinghe's fake death, she knew that he had martial arts skills, but she never expected that Lin Xinghe's martial arts were so strong that he could punch Wang Lushan to death. If she were herself, although she could also deal with Wang Lushan, she couldn't do a single move to defeat the enemy. And since you are so strong, why pretend to be dead before? What is the dignity of a master? Bai Ji was puzzled and even more puzzled, and he's only 16 years old, how could he have such profound skills? Is he practicing from birth? Or did you eat some natural ingredients and treasures? Or is this a genius? Chapter 10. The Big Baby Underwater. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Lin Xinghe punched, there was a sudden swelling sensation in the meridians of his right arm. Just now, I took advantage of my right arm meridian not paying attention and came up with a big move. If I do it again, I'm afraid the right arm meridian will be scrapped. Be careful. Baizhi let out a loud cry. It turned out that Gu Jiao saw his master being beaten to death by Lin Xinghe, so he flapped his wings and pecked at Lin Xinghe. Upon hearing Baizhi's voice, Lin Xinghe immediately rolled to the ground to avoid the attack of Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao chased him and pecked him 3 times, and he also rolled on the ground 3 times in a row. Baizhi took out a stone from the medicine box, placed it in her palm, and when she exhaled her true qi, she smashed it into powder. Then he clapped his palm, and a white mist formed with the powder in his palm hit the head of Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao let out a mournful cry, seeming extremely painful. Lin Xinghe took the opportunity to stand up, gather his energy in his left fist, and pound the back of Gu Jiao from top to bottom. This Gu Jiao had only experienced a major battle before, and its stamina had already been depleted. Now, its vision has been taken away, and it cannot dodge. With a click, the spine and ribs of the Gu Eagle shattered under this punch. Unfortunately, Lin Xinghe is right-handed and his left fist strength is slightly insufficient. He was not able to kill him with a single blow. Gu Jiao let out a painful cry and burst out his final strength to run into the pool. Lin Xinghe walked to the edge of the water pool and looked at it from an observational perspective to confirm the condition of the Gu Eagle. Only when he saw that the Gu Eagle had lost its heartbeat did he feel relieved. It's dead. Gu Jiao lacks true energy. The previous fights relied solely on physical abilities, so it is impossible for him to pretend to be dead like Lin Xinghe. Without a heartbeat, he is truly dead. Although relieved, Lin Xinghe did not shift his gaze. It wasn't that he had any thoughts about the corpse of Gu Jiao, but rather a stone at the bottom of the pond that caught his attention. That stone is round and plump, like an ostrich egg on the surface of bluestone, with a few water plants growing on the surface. Apart from its shape, it is ordinary and unremarkable. However, this is only visible to the naked eye. Lin Xinghe has an observation perspective, which allows for perspective, observation of air, and the ability to see things that ordinary people cannot see. For example, that stone, which looks like a stone, is actually an egg. Inside the egg is a young bird with blue feathers. If that's all, it's not a big deal, but not only is the true energy inside the young bird majestic, but the brightness of that true energy is extremely high. The brightness of true qi is the strength of true qi. The true qi intensity of this egg is extremely high, and Lin Xinghe is not sure what the specific value is, but at least it is over 20. Obviously, this egg is a big treasure. It is said that the reason why Wutong Mountain is called Wutong Mountain is because there was a phoenix here. Is the green bird in this egg the offspring of the phoenix? Before hearing Wang Liuxuan's words, Lin Xinghe thought this was just a game, and of course, this pool was just an ordinary pool. I didn't expect there really was a treasure. It's just that this baby is covered in dust, shining and introverted, which ordinary people can't tell. Fortunately, you met me. Lin Xinghe smiled in his heart and couldn't help but imagine the future. In the future, when wandering in the martial arts world, he must use more observation angles to look around, and he may be able to pick up those overlooked treasures. Especially at the bottom of pools, under cliffs, at auctions, antique shops, and other places, these are well-known places for collecting leaks. By the way, we can't let go of things like the Sutra Pavilion. If we see any hidden secrets, it would be amazing. Baizhi saw him staring at the water pool in silence, thinking it was because he was puzzled by the behavior of Gu Jiao. She said, although Gu Jiao is a raptor, it is a strange beast that lives in the water. Now that he dies in the water, it can be considered as falling leaves and returning to his roots. Upon hearing these words, Lin Xinghe came to his senses and asked, Gu Jiao is poisonous. Will this water pool become a poison pool? Baizhi said, although Gu Jiao is poisonous, it only weighs a small amount. Moreover, this is live water. Even if there are another 100 gujiao, it will not turn into a poison pool. Lin Xinghe thought to himself, even if it is highly toxic, the dosage must be considered. As long as the dosage is high, even water can become highly toxic. Lin Xinghe wanted to find some time to catch the bluebird egg, and at the same time, he arched his hand at Baiji, grateful, saying, "Thank you very much for saving your life, Miss Divine Doctor." If it weren't for Baiji's help when he faced Wu Laoda, Wang Lushan, and Gu Jiao respectively, he would probably have been separated. Baiji doesn't think so. He said to himself, with his skills, even if I don't help, at most he's just a little embarrassed and has no worries about his life. Although I helped, I can't be considered a life-saving kindness. Although it has been less than a quarter of an hour since Lin Xinghe obtained this body of skill, she did not know and thought that Lin Xinghe had the current skill from the beginning. There's no need to say that. Baiji calmly denied the life-saving kindness, then turned around to look at the corpses scattered all over the ground, drew a sword from the ground, used it as a shovel, and began digging a pit in place. Lin Xinghe saw this and pointed to the corpses on the ground, asking, "Miss Divine Doctor, are you planning to bury them?" Baiji nodded. Lin Xinghe said, "Is it necessary to be so troublesome?" Baiji thought that Lin Xinghe still harbored resentment towards these people, and earnestly advised, "These people have all died, and any grudges have dissipated. As a reborn person, the sum of past and present lives is over 40 years old, and speaking is inevitably somewhat mature." Lin Xinghe saw that she was clearly a child, but with an adult tone, he couldn't help but feel a bit amused. At the same time, he explained, "You misunderstood. What I meant was, cremate it." Baiji was taken aback. "Wait a moment, I'll go chop some firewood." After Lin Xinghe finished speaking, he picked up a knife from the ground and headed straight up the mountain. After finding a tree suitable for burning firewood, he struck it with a single blow. He has mastered a lot of luck skills, and the effect of this knife is completely different from yesterday's axe. The thick and thin trunk of the thigh fell down with one knife on each side. In less than half an hour, he collected enough firewood. Returning to the edge of the pool, a tree trunk stands in the middle, surrounded by a corpse and a layer of firewood, stacked layer by layer until all the corpses are piled together. Lin Xinghe also absorbed the remaining true qi in the bodies of corpses such as Wu Laoda and Wang Lushan. Although Mr. Wu is the strongest among this group, due to a major battle during his lifetime, there was not much residual true energy in the body, which was only equivalent to Lin Xinghe's 1 month of skill. On the contrary, Wang Lushan provided him with a skill equivalent to half a year of cultivation. The remaining few minions have only 1 month's worth of skill, and even 1 or 2 days of skill. Regardless of the amount, Lin Xinghe will accept all orders. Number of true qi plus 36, number of true qi plus 187, number of true qi plus 29, number of true qi plus 1, 0 finally added about a year of skill to him. Now he has a total of 6 years of martial arts skills, which is based on his own standards. If counted as the skills of ordinary people in the martial arts world, it would be 20.4 years. In addition to skills, there is also some financial income. These people have a total of over 200 taels of silver and banknotes on their bodies. Lin Xinghe said to Baiji, "Let's have half each." Baiji's gaze swept over the silver coins. Although there was some movement, due to her own image considerations, she should have declined and waved her hand, refusing, "No need." Lin Xinghe thought to herself that she had excellent martial arts skills at a young age, and was mostly a powerful figure of some kind. On the surface, she was a doctor in a medical school, but secretly, she concealed a wealth of wealth. It was normal to overlook the money extracted from such a dead person. "Then I won't be polite." Lin Xinghe smiled and collected the silver, then piled up the firewood before saying to Baiji, "Miss Baiji, light the fire." Baiji couldn't help feeling depressed when she saw that he really didn't give her any money. She blamed herself for not being so polite, and now she couldn't bear to ask for money, so she had to give up. Take out the flint from the medicine box, smack it out and ignite a ball of hay, then throw it into the firewood pile. At first, there was a lot of smoke, and when the oil burned, a raging fire broke out from the ground. Lin Xinghe looked at it and thought to himself, devouring internal skills are most afraid of backlash. We need to refine all these foreign true qi and turn them into my own, eliminating the possibility of backlash. So silently exercising the first internal skill, allowing the majestic true qi to circulate in the meridians around the body. Just one Sunday later, these new skills merged with his own skills, without distinguishing them from each other. He opened his observation perspective and looked at the true qi in his arm with some surprise. It turned out that these true qi had inherent stickiness and could easily blend with external true qi. This is also the reason why he was able to quickly adapt and control this majestic true energy before. Sticky, really useful. Lin Xinghe was fortunate that he absorbed the essence of the pine tree yesterday, adding a stickiness to his true energy. Otherwise, today would be more ominous than good. In the observation perspective, as he exercises his energy, the brightness of his true qi also increases, which means that his true qi intensity reaches 8. Name: Lin Xinghe. Skills. Observation, number 1 internal skill, mutation, number 2 internal skill, number 1 lightness skill, number 2 lightness skill, true qi quantity. 2260, true qi strength. 8.